My first trade of the day, I am long 6732, August 10th, 2021, 7:30 a.m. I'll talk about it a little bit after this kind of plays out, but I had some supply that was flipped here and had a nice demand push, and now looking to take this up through this liquidity. It seemed like there are quite a few shorts trapped here, so we'll see what happens. It's looking pretty good so far, though. As far as targets go, we flushed this high here. Definitely could see us flush this 50. We've tested up into here. So my first real issue and trouble area is up into the 66, but that's pretty far away. That's over 30 ticks away. So I will be looking to manage it anything over and above 20. So now we're at that 50. So we'll see what happens when we flush here. And we'll see if I can lock in 20 now. Risk is definitely off. I don't want to. We would see a reaction here at the 50. So I want to see if we can come down. Probably likely to come back down to this 43, but we have this vertical space as well. So kind of a fine line of giving it room to move up. But it seems like we have a lot of trapped shorts here in this trade. So not likely to have it come back down and let them get out, probably keep the pressure on. That's how I see it anyway here. So coming back up to the point of control. So here at 20 ticks, I'll probably try to lock this in and see if we can get that push and that flush above to the 66 and see if I can get lucky here. We're also at the point of the control for this for this session now, testing back up into that, but I think we should get up into that 65, I'm hoping. And that'll get me over 30 ticks on this trade, and that'll be a nice first trade of the day. It's been pretty quiet, so far the 50 is holding. We have this low volume node, which is definitely a major pivot area. Wouldn't be surprised if we come back to at least test that, and that's exactly what just happened, and I got taken out for plus 20, so that's a nice trade. Plus 20, can never complain about that. But so what I was seeing on this trade, the number bars here, we can see this pretty clearly, but so this is the first major trouble of untested supply here. That's why that was really my target here. But it makes sense it will come down and test this pivot area, and we can see now we just came down, tested down to the 48, and now we're going back up. So likely that's just kind of be a little bit of a retrace, but as far as the trade management goes, I got to lock in those good trades, those plus 20s when I can, and likely to see this. I wouldn't be surprised even if it didn't stop here and run this high as well up through the 80, and so that we could see all of this go. I mean, all of these are weak, a lot of weakness here. 91, and then even we had the overnight high above at 68.05, but that's way far in the future. So what did I see in this trade? Well, we had this really large spike down around the open, around 10 minutes before the open, and then we had this real strong demand push out of that area, and then we came all the way, and it's been fairly volatile anyway lately, so had this big reversal almost all the way back down. So my expectation was that if we get sellers coming in, we would come back possibly to the origin of this demand, and we came actually down lower. And what I saw was kind of some absorption and some large volume coming in here. Increase in volume, we see this like over 400, 500 contracts traded down here. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to come and buy out of this area, but we just sat here. And then I would have liked to have seen a flush out of this, below this area, but then we get this little last try down and then a push out of here. So at that point, trying to manage some kind of reasonable stop. I didn't take it here, but because I wanted to see if this was going to hold, and then we pushed down one final time into the range here, and then pushed out. So this was my trigger, and I got in here at 32, kind of above this volume here. It's definitely not easy. The trade management is the most difficult thing by far because of the volatility. So if I'm in at 32 and we get this pullback, which is to be expected, some kind of pullback into this pivot area, into this. I mean, this is a major. We can see where all this lines up, this, and then we have the low volume node here, but this also pushed deep back into this range. So 38, yeah, I'd still be in the trade if I went to break even, but after being up, if I was up to 60, that would be 28 ticks in equity, and then to give all that back to hold on to this pullback at 38. So I'm comfortable with taking off and locking in anything above 20. So that's how I'm going to continue to this, especially with my struggles as far as being profitable lately and seeing so many positive equity trades, many over 10, that I take off break even or even for losses. I'm just not going to do that anymore. First agenda and order of business is to maintain profitability, and that means not losing money. So if I can trade at break even or better, yeah, it's not great, but it's a fine line between break even and being massively profitable. I don't need that much. 20 ticks a day is $480K a year. So that's what I am continuously trying to maintain in my mind. So this is an interesting situation with this, as far as if I had wanted to stay and hold my trade, we would have had to take the heat all the way back down to my break even or +1 entry. So push up into here to 61, which is 29 ticks, and then all the way back into entry. So really that's just not acceptable, And then I felt this move was very likely. And then at this point, after we put in this low, had this low tick here, still respecting this range, I'm trying to get long here, trying to find some kind of setup in to take out and run these highs and take out all of this and see what happens here. Here we are taking out the 68 round number and gonna flush the overnight highs. Well, I have no setup here, so I thought maybe after this demand push that tested all of this untested supply, but I just don't like the location with this being overhead, but could take an aggressive entry if you get the pullback all the way back down to 42 and you still have a stop down here about 31, so over a 10 tick stop. But there's no way, so I'm just having to watch this, knowing that this move was very likely to happen, and still likely even to take out this high. So 70 ticks above where I wanted to enter my first entry at 32. And here all this is, but that's okay. I think that I'm getting more and more comfortable with just being okay watching this happen, because even if my context read is right, that's great, but I still have to have a setup and an entry and a way to manage it, because even if you're right on the direction, you're on the wrong side of these 30, 20, 30, 40 tick moves. It doesn't mean anything. So that's what I've been really focusing on and learning more and more. The timing has to be right. It has to be perfect. So